power rankings for week 5 of the NFL season. I just want to say this before we get into it. Some people, they have different thought processes when it comes to their power ranking. My personal thought process for my power ranking is I put a lot of emphasis on week-to-week performance. So that means you're going to see a lot of teams going up and down drastically. But I think that makes it kind of fun and interesting. All right, so coming in at number 32, we have the Houston Texans, the only team without a win in the league, but they're not totally defeated because they do have a tie, which is pretty interesting that we don't have any 0-4 teams. They have the worst record in the league, like I said, and, they just look like the worst team out there on the field. At number 31, I have the Carolina Panthers. We know Matt Rule is not going to be the head coach of this team next year because they have just been so bad, and there were reports that he's actually losing the locker room already heading into week 5. So the question now is, when is he going to be relieved of his head coaching duties? In this loss versus the Cardinals, Baker Mayfield also played absolutely terrible. At number 30, I have the Washington Commanders. Carson Wentz did not play well in their loss this week versus the Cowboys. He threw for 170 yards and 2 interceptions. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they benched Wentz at some point during this season and tried to see what they have in rookie Sam Howell. At number 29, I have the Chicago Bears. So the Bears lost to the Giants, even though the Giants didn't have a healthy quarterback for the majority of the fourth quarter of this game. The thing is this, the Bears defense, it's good. It's really solid. They haven't given up a touchdown in any game so far this season in the second half. So no second half touchdowns for this defense. But the thing is the offense. The offense is just not good. They're not aggressive enough with this offense, and that's really why they lost this game. At number 28, I have the Detroit Lions. So the Lions have one of the best offenses in the league, but the problem is their defense. Their defense is one of the worst in the league. They're giving up an average of 35 points per game. They almost gave up 50 points to the Seahawks. Actually, they gave up over 40, but there was an INT pick 6, so that's not really on, the defense because they weren't on the field. But this defense needs to be better. I don't know how much more you could ask of Jared Goff and this Lions offense. At number 27, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and honestly, I'm so disappointed in this team. I had much higher expectations for them than the way they've been playing, especially this defense. I thought they were going to be really good. I know TJ Watt is out, but still, they have other good players on this team, and they just haven't been playing well. Kenny Pickett, though, it's Kenny Pickett time. He came in. He's going to be the starter now going forward. But good luck, Kenny Pickett, because your next few games are going to be very tough. They have to play the Bills, then the Bucs, then the Dolphins, then the Eagles. So yeah, Kenny, welcome to the NFL, I guess. At number 26, I have the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seahawks are tied for first place in the NFC West. Technically, they're also tied for last place because every team in this division is 2-2. But honestly, if you're a Seahawks fan, you got to be pumped about this. This is going way better than I thought it would be going for the Seahawks at this point in the season. Geno Smith absolutely balled out in their win versus the Lions. This offense put up over 40 points in that one. At number 25, I have the New York Jets. At number 24, I have the Indianapolis Colts, and this is by far the most disappointing team in the league this season. I thought they were going to run away with the AFC South. Jonathan Taylor isn't 100%, and you could tell. He had 20 carries for 42 yards in their loss versus the Titans, and he had to leave that game with that ankle injury. They leaned on Jonathan Taylor so much last season. If he isn't healthy, this is going to get even uglier for the Colts. At number 23, I have the New England Patriots. Yes, they moved up a spot even though they lost, but that's because third string rookie quarterback Bailey Zappi went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it took Green Bay all of overtime to get this win. Pretty surprising performance, though, by the Patriots, even though they did lose. At number 22, I have the New Orleans Saints, so a tough loss for them versus the Vikings over in London. The thing is, this offense just needs to get healthy. They were without Kamara. They were without Jameis. Yes, Dalton didn't play terrible, but I think once this offense is healthy and cohesive, this team will start to win more games. At number 21, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. So they needed to win this division matchup with the Broncos, and they did. They got their first win of the season. I think this team is better than their record shows, but it's going to be an uphill battle for them to make the playoffs this season. At number 20, I have the Cleveland Browns. They lost versus the Falcons this week, and this defense has honestly disappointed me so far this season. I thought they were going to be better than this. They have a bunch of key players on that defense, and they haven't been able to get the job done. At number 19, I have the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons have been competitive in every single game they've played this year, and now they just put together back-to-back wins. Yes, the passing game wasn't pretty in this one, but Young Waku, he made his kicks and he put the points on the board that the Falcons needed to win this game. At number 18, I have the Tennessee Titans. So after a rough start to the season, the Titans have won their last 2 games, and Derrick Henry is looking more and more like the player we know he is, which is huge for this Titans team's success. At number 17, I have the Arizona Cardinals. So they started out a little slow versus the Panthers, but they absolutely dominated the second half and got the win. At number 16, I have the Denver Broncos. So I really debated whether or not I should put this team this low on my power ranking because it seems really low, right? Number 16, that seems like a low spot for the Denver Broncos, who are 2-2 and had a lot of hype heading into the season. But I decided to put them here because I was like, listen, I don't care how good a team is on paper. How good a team is on paper does not matter. I need to see them win and put together convincing wins at that if I'm going to leave them in the top 10. So I had to drop them out of the top 10 after their loss versus the Raiders, who didn't have a win going into that game. At number 15, I have the New York Giants. So Saquon Barkley literally carried this team to victory when the Giants didn't have a healthy quarterback in the fourth quarter. Guess who played quarterback? Saquon Barkley. He lined up as the Wildcat quarterback. He actually got them into field goal range to, help seal this game. He didn't throw the ball, but he was a great Wildcat quarterback. At number 14, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they got up early versus the Eagles, but they weren't able to hold on to that lead. Trevor Lawrence turned the ball over 5 times in this one. Yes, the conditions were bad. It was windy and rainy, but fumbling 4 times, come on. That's a lot, Trevor. At number 13, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. So Justin Herbert looked more like himself in this win. They did let the Texans get back into this game in the second half when they shouldn't have, but I guess it's okay because they ended up still winning by 10. At number 12, I have the Los Angeles Rams. When are we going to start talking about the fact that Matt Stafford has a bad interception problem? Last season, he led the league with Trevor Lawrence in interceptions. And guess what? Heading into week 5, he's leading the NFL again in interceptions with 6. Also, this defense, it lost some players this offseason, and they're not as good as they were last season. At number 11, I have the San Francisco 49ers, so a big divisional win for them versus the Rams. Jimmy G, he looked better in this game than he did last week. He didn't do anything crazy, right? But he just made those quick, short passes that he needed to make to keep this offense moving down the field. And this 49ers defense, it's just so good, guys. It's so good. At number 10, I have the Minnesota Vikings. So this team is quietly 3-1 after a nice win versus the Saints. They're definitely looking like a contender in the NFC, but the thing is this, if they do make the playoffs, what's going to happen? Because we know Kirk in primetime, it just doesn't really work. At number 9, I have the Dallas Cowboys. So having to have your backup quarterback start couldn't have gone any better for the Cowboys. Cooper Rush has won every game he has started, and this defense is looking better and better as the season goes on. At number 8, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know what happened to this defense. I mean, I do kind of know what happened. They had to play Patrick Mahomes coming off a bad loss, and he was just absolutely locked in. But this defense was so dominant, and it was carrying this team for the first 3 weeks of the season, and then they can't get a stop versus the Chiefs, and this offense, it finally gets healthy, right, and can finally put points on the board, but the defense can't get a stop. So yeah, tough game there for the Bucs on Monday Night Football. I'm still not super concerned about them, though. I think they'll be all right. At number 7, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. So the Bengals are finally playing the way we expected them to this season. A nice win for them versus one of the best teams in the league on a short week. At number 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens. So this team is just so confusing because they get up big versus some of the best teams in the league, like the Dolphins and the Bills. But then they cannot hold on to that lead, and they lose. And that's what happened this past week versus the Bills. They were so dominant in the first half, but they couldn't put up any points in the second half. So this week, it was a tie game with just over 4 minutes to go. It's 4th down in the red zone, and John Harbaugh decides to go for it instead of taking the 3 points to go ahead. And for as good as Lamar has been this season, he's been outstanding. He did throw an interception on 4th down. Then the Bills just drove down the field, hit the game-winning field goal. Tough loss. At number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. I mean, this team, I don't know what to think about this team. It took them all of overtime to beat third-string rookie quarterback Bailey Zappi. Aaron Rodgers definitely is not looking as good as last year. I don't know what to think about this team, guys. Are they legit? At number 4, I have the Miami Dolphins. So obviously they suffered their first loss of the season Thursday night. But Thursday night was just a very tough and unfortunate night for this team with Tua and his injury. The good news is he's going to be okay, and that's the most important outcome of this game, that Tua's going to be all right. At number 3, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. So after a loss versus the Colts, that was a surprising loss, an unexpected loss, a bad loss. The Chiefs had a chip on their shoulder headed into this game. They weren't going to lose back-to-back games. Patrick Mahomes was so insanely locked in. After extra points, he was clapping on the sideline like, let's go. He was clapping so hard after just extra points. He was dominant in this game. I mean, from the start of this game, this first half, he was insane. Like the first half, he absolutely balled out. It seemed like the game was over after the first half because he absolutely just shredded apart this Buccaneers defense. At number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. So a resilient comeback win for this team. This defense stepped up and did not allow a single point in the second half of this one. At number 1, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the Eagles are number 1. They're the only undefeated team left in the league. And Jalen Hurts, he's looking like an MVP candidate. I want to know your guys' top 5 teams in the league. Comment that down below. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Peace.